Hey everybody, and welcome back to Jaraci Cup 5. Continuing coverage now of the round of 16, it's going to be CastleKSide. Rocking some interesting colors. I think this is different than what he did before. Versus our boy Shrike, who is Cold Blow Code in the chat, of course. I think some people still don't know that somehow. With, of course, the blue on dark yellow. Very nice color combo. It's going to be Coalition versus Soban, and Shrike has been talking about how he feels that Soban is actually much stronger in the matchup these days. Let's go ahead and read their pick ban document right here. So Castle picks Coalition first, and then Shrike picks Soban. I don't think Shrike would have picked Coalition against, it's like P.Sinet or something like that. It's weird. Yeah, well, when Shrike and Maze play, they definitely meme with the names. But anyway, I don't think that Shrike would have picked Coalition even if his opponent had been Galzian or something, but I don't know. He can tell us, of course, but I don't believe he would have done that. College Teeth is the ban from Shrike, which I think makes sense because I don't think he really likes the map. But then a really good ban from Castle, he bans the Boneyard. And I think Shrike will be fuming, because I'm pretty sure that's his favorite map. By the way, it is SC first from Shrike here. I believe from CastleKSide too, and the timings are pretty equal. And he's going to move the Space Spinner out, actually, which we usually recommend against, but we'll see if he's able to get value from it. And then we should see LAV Fab before the probe. We have a bit of a quick drop for it for Shrike, so he's a little bit faster than his opponent. Castle picking this first map. Shrike picks Tauren and Canyon. Castle picks Kartoba. Shrike picks Tight End Passage. Interesting picks. I feel for some reason that Shrike is going to do better on Tauren Crater, but I can't really explain why. But I know he's going to do better on Kartoba, and that was Castle's picks. That seems like a bit odd to me, because I think Shrike is a little bit better at multitasking across the field here. But you know what? Both players doing this build right. They're doing LEV Fab and then the probe. That's exactly what I want to see. And like I said, CastleKSide didn't do a quick drop for the LEV Fab, so he's going to be a bit behind. And he's going to take damage from this BR. Might even lose the probe. Oh. Yikes. I will say this, though. The presence of this Base Spinner tells Castle a lot of things. And I don't think he's going to be afraid of an AAV rush right now, but that is a little bit rough for him. And Shrike is going to see everything, so I know, right? I love it, A-game. In fact, I should really make some more BO videos for these things because, in fact, I think I'll do that right after JC5 is done. Because these builds are like much better than what we generally see from these players. Especially like CastleKSide, this is very clean, you know what I mean? This is exactly what he wants to be doing. He could open rails here, but I feel like Firebase Krill is a really good AV map, so he probably wants to click on that too. And Shrike says building this LAV was a misclick. I actually was going to comment on that because I felt like he had good vision with the probe. He didn't really need the LAV to check for things. And he saw the probe from his opponent too. And so, he kind of knows that this isn't going to be like a rush or anything like that. And I also agree with that sentiment, A-game, because a lot of players who entered this tournament with pretty average track records, like, oh yeah, you know, they'll play their games, but you never know who's gonna win because they're both pretty average. They came into this tournament and they've really already surprised me with like what they're able to do. And there's new players like Let's Rock and stuff who are already pretty good. Let's Rock, Phoenix, Orb. So the thing I need to practice most is to stop sweating when the game gets intense. Oh boy, no fun. I feel you there. I feel you there. My games with A-game today, I was like literally shaking during part of it. Especially during game 3. Probe gonna come in here, just wants to check tech, and he sees nothing. And there is nothing. And actually, I'm really surprised about this. I imagine Shrike will be too. And this probe took a bit of a dive under some LAVs to do that, but he's actually he's alive here. 50 HP, so this is okay, and that actually is good vision to know as well. Like, look, I saw 2 LAVs here, I saw 1 here. He's gonna see 1 here in a moment. He's gonna be like, there's no tech, and he's made like 5 LAVs. What's the idea here? Armor 1 coming out too. Orb, I feel you exactly. That's exactly how I am. Oh my gosh. Like, you know, in America we have the ACT, right? It's like, it's a really important college placement test. And, I don't know, most people are really nervous for the ACT, and they study for it for like a really long time and whatever. And I'm just kind of like, I woke up late that day, you know? By the way, still no tech, and Shrike is going to see this. Maybe the probe dies now, but he's No, he's going to get the probe out of there, too. And he's going to be a bit perplexed as to the lack of tech here, but Railfab finally starting to be on the queue as he sees some AVs here. Anyway, I woke up late the day of the ACT. I, like, barely got there on time. I just kind of like, you know, I'll take, like, you have a certain amount of time for each section, and I was, like, 30 minutes early on all of them, you know? Like, I wasn't worried about this at all, and I ended up getting a 31, which is pretty good. I got a 33 in the end, but, because I, like, took it again. But it was, like, I don't know, I don't get nervous for tests. I don't feel that test anxiety, like, in the slightest. But I'm playing, like, a video game tournament, and I'm just like, oh gosh, you know, like, shaking around. By the way, support cruiser from Shrike going to come here, and I think he's going to move his carrier there. That can often be a little bit of a trap, because the carrier often gets stuck in these positions, but we'll see what he's planning here. Base runner had gone down for CastleKSide after getting a extraction, so there's no chance for turret here. Railfab is done, and I'm sure they're on the way, but he's just not ready. And I think this is going to do some big damage, so Shrike with a good read, he saw his opponent had no tech, you know, and he's just gonna come in here and he's gonna hit for freaking damage. It looks like he's actually gonna go after the SC, which is a fair play. I actually would have gone for the salvagers, I think, but to be honest, maybe he gets both here. There's the first rail. There's still smoke though, so these AVs can continue this attack, and yeah, I think they're gonna get all the salves and the SC off this main. This is huge damage, and then Strike Fighter's gonna come in after. Yikes. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Orb. And look, he's gonna get the railgun too, so this isn't even necessarily over. Oh no, another smoke maybe? Because he has armor broken now. Yeah, it looks like he's finally gonna take care of this attack, but jeez. That's not exactly what CastleKSide wanted to start out this series, I'm sure. And now he's kind of overbuilding on rails a little bit too, which, to be fair, like, he needs rails here, but no anti-air tech. And that's another problem, I guess, with not going for AV. You can get SCAA, but you're still really defensive in that case. Or you can go for fighter and gunship. And I think that's got to have been the play, but we didn't have any tech at all. You know, I feel like CastleKSide got the SC first really, really well, right? Like, that build was quite clean. He could have done a little bit of a quick drop to get LAV fab a little bit faster, but, like, that was super good. But then he just didn't tech anything, and Shrike saw it too. Like, the thing is, you have to think that seeing tech is even more, like, not having tech when your opponent has AVs on the field makes those AVs even more valuable when he's got a probe on you. And this probe came in, this is a new one actually, I think one of them died. This probe came in like 3 times, and he checked all of that tech, and he knew exactly what was going on. So, really, like, Castle should have known that Shrike knew that he had no tech. And just sticking on LAV for that long is really, really dangerous when you're doing that kind of thing. And yeah, look at this, CastleKSide, he's always been one to know when the game is over. He's just gonna surrender. We actually do have BC Fab on the way, so I do not disagree with that choice. And Shrike gonna take game 1 in a really convincing fashion. I think that was just a big mistake from CastleKSide. Well, that's cute. He's like blocking his own base runner from the extraction zone. Ouchie mama. You can do better, Castle. But I think he knows his mistakes, and I think he won't do that again this game. But Torrent Crater, this is definitely a map that I think you really have to have AVs on. So, in fact, this could even be a AV rush from either of these players. Obviously, Torrent Crater is a very good map for that kind of stuff. I also like how Paulus is trying to become like the new like local drunkard of the stream, because obviously that was Discara before, but I'm liking this. I think Castle said he was a bit shook by the first game. I would be too, man. I would be too, because that was just like, that's the kind of thing where everything feels pretty fine for you. And I guess he just wasn't thinking about this tech disadvantage here. By the way, this is going to be an AV rush from CastleKSide, but he's actually building cells first, which is a little bit suboptimal. Shrike is just going to do SC first here, so. But yeah, I feel like he just felt like everything was okay. Like there weren't any problems really. And then all of a sudden he just instantly died. So that's pretty rough. Oh, this isn't an AV rush. This is SC first with a BR retire. That is gonna get his SC out a lot faster than his opponent. But this feels risky. And like I said, for some reason I just really kind of felt like Shrike was gonna win on Torrent Crater for some reason. I don't know why. My spidey sense is tingling, but SC is out here. I agree with that, by the way, Shrike. I think we have a lot of coalition mains these days, so. It's nice to see, because I agree, like, there's a lot of CVG testing that goes on, and I like that, because CVG is sort of the thing that you want to know about. Because it's kind of like the classic matchup in DOK, and the thing is, like, mirrors can never be, like, OP for one faction, but they can be sort of broken that they're not very fun to play. But CVG is not a mirror. CVG is the one that I think really needs, like, the most testing. But as a result, I kind of agree. I think that CVC is sort of taking a bit of a back burner here. And GVG needed a lot of work too, because that one we sort of knew was broken. But CVC, I think that A-Game has tried pretty hard to sort of break it out of this sort of stale meta. And I'm not sure if it's really worked. But, I don't know. He can tell us his thoughts about that. I'm sure he will. What I think is interesting about this game, though, is that... Oh, Discard says it worked too well. I see. So the things that we were trying to make sort of off-meta, but they were still viable, are just kind of becoming meta these days? Ah. I see. Anyway, I want to talk about these openings, though, because they're still very interesting. And it is going to be Railfab, by the way, first from CastleKSide. So maybe he learns the lesson from last game. I mean, he is teching earlier, which is good. That's what he needs. But he's still kind of focusing pretty heavy on LEVs. You can tell, even though he's only got 2 out, because he's getting that upgrade. The problem is, he needs anti-air. And air is always a big deal in CVC, and of course Shrike knows that. He's not, I don't know, he's not very unaware of, like, the meta here, you know what I'm saying? And if CastleKSide wants anti-air, which he needed last game but didn't have, he really has to go fighter and gunship now too. So I predict we're going to see either an air battle, or one player's just going to die to air really hard. That's kind of what I think is on the table right now. But the openers are really interesting too, because the base runner got retired here in the meta SC first. This is like the worst build possible if your opponent goes for an AV rush. And it's Torrent Crater. You've got to go for an AV rush on Torrent Crater, right? But they didn't. Neither player did. And so they both went for eco. I don't know, it's really interesting. Like, I wonder always if there were, like, mind games involved in that, but I have to assume that there were. Unless the players are sort of unaware about, like, how insane Torrent Crater is, but I don't know. To be fair, I think CastleKSide has a better spawn for it, but... because I think this one's a bit easier to, like, defend on. I see discussion about tournaments. Yeah, I'm always trying to get the group stage played as fast as possible, because I don't want to accept any, like, delays on it. We ended up I think forfeiting 3 players from the group stage. No, 2 players maybe. 2, and Last Rites dropped out. That's the thing that happened there. But the thing is, like, if the group stage goes overtime, it just sets the whole precedent for the tournament that we don't really need to get games played on time. And it's a bad time, because then the bracket will take like 3 weeks or something instead of 2, and the group stage has already taken 2 instead of 1, and so all of a sudden we've got like a multiple month-long tournament instead of just like 3 weeks like we had planned. So yeah, I like to push the group stage quite a lot, but and I definitely do agree too. That's quite sad that I think it's quite sad that Last Rites couldn't play in this one, but I don't know. He is quite busy with his life, I suppose. It's difficult, it seems, for him to find windows to get in there. Sport Cruiser gonna take out that thing, by the way. SCAA is on the queue here. And you know what, though? There's no air. And I was saying, like, I was pretty sure that this was going to come down to either both players have an air battle or one player just dies to it. Ah, yeah, okay, so... Fighter and gunships on the queue here. Ah, I see what Shrike is saying now. Yeah, because the support cruiser killed that probe with the standard anti-air. It didn't kill it with the missiles. So Shrike has no idea that this is coming. This could be potentially pretty interesting then. Although I gotta say, this attack here is gonna do really well. And again, this is the problem with Tauren Crater. It's very, very hard to defend that main, so... I think the rails have to be like here or something, but then they get in range of the AVs. It's a bad time. Oh, you're saying support cruiser anti-air was a waste? Huh, I don't know about that, because obviously you are coming at him with air here. By the way, the railguns trying to get involved in this fight now, but they're way too close. And all of a sudden they go down, and now this could get a lot worse. Because, you know, obviously he was already having some trouble here, but like, the rails jumping in there, ouch, that is really bad. Remove support cruiser anti-air, dude. Now that would be a game changer. Ouch, more rails go down here. And all of a sudden, you know, these AVs, not only are they doing good eco damage, but they're gonna win. They killed the carrier. No, they actually traded efficiently too. Like if we look at the units lost tab, like look at that. You only saw it for a second, but he was behind by like a 3,000, I think. That's freaking crazy. That was a pretty good attack. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, dude, Wuji sent me an introduction to Lethway, this really brutal combat sport. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna check this out later. I think he'd almost have to, right? Oh wait, we didn't load in the next replay. Keep the SC base anti-air, because with no anti-air upgrade, I think they're just gonna be too weak. If they don't have any base anti-air. But you know what? You know what that would really do, though, as we load in Game 3 here? What that would really do is make it more difficult for Coalition players to do these kind of like sledgehammer carrier plays, because they'd have to be worrying about air even as they push out, because the SC is not going to do it on its own. I think SC base anti-air is the issue. Maybe. Because that is what changed. That would be why, like, strike fighters can't punish greed, according to Discara. I don't know. It's a complicated issue, I suppose. SC first, by the way, coming out here. Good build from Shrike, though. He's putting the salvagers on the line properly here. I think when I've been doing SCAA these days, I've had the second one rally to RUs, actually, but I'm not sure. Like, I'm never certain if I'm doing things wrong or not. But it looks like he's going to retire the BR anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So the one drop-off comes in, he retires the BR. He's actually got the money for SC right as the salvager finishes in the bank if he just kind of does a bit of a drop. Oh, you got to do a drop, yeah. He was off by 1, like he still is. Yikes. I don't know how that happened, by the way. He must have done a quick drop that was just like a little bit early. Okay, there he is. He's going to remove the inefficiency there. As for CastleKSide, I think it's SC first from him too, but he's not going to retire the BR. Huh. I don't know, I've kind of liked the Sport Cruiser's base anti-air, because one real big problem for really all of the factions, in my opinion, was that if you happened to get hit by air that you couldn't scout for some reason, you just sort of died. And I felt like SC base anti-air really kind of helped Coalition in that regard. CastleKSide, meanwhile, being a little bit he's being a little bit slow to like set up his next base here. I don't exactly know what he's doing, because the SC is just kind of chilling here on the main. Um. Okay, here we go. He's finally gonna move his carrier. A-Game just kind of uses like Descara and me as like a team, I guess. But it's really just him who's developing it. Which personally I think is good because Descara and I, well, I don't know about Descara, but I keep trying to suggest changes that are actually like, I come to realize a couple like weeks later, like, wait a minute, that would have been stupid. And A-Game shuts me down pretty nicely when I do that sort of stuff. So. But he does use us to like bounce ideas off of. Let's see, CastleKSide coming to pick up this artifact now with the Space Runner. I actually kind of prefer, what? No, my balance patch is very good, okay? I've got two. I've got two very good balance patches, so don't even at me. Anyway, so CastleKSide picks up the artifact here. He's gonna go ahead and try and extract it. Now, if Descara was in chat, he'd be yelling right now. Because Descara has always been talking about how you really need to keep that base runner at home for the defense. And it's not really acceptable, as it turns out, to like move it out across the field, because if you end up getting attacked by AVs and such, you're gonna have some problems back at home unless you've got that turret to defend. Also, I actually hadn't noticed that probe either, so that's a good catch orb. Although he also put down a targeting jammer, so that's cool. He's like using all of his abilities before it goes away. I think he was a bit mistaken by the shape of this dune, though. It looks as though there's no line of sight from here to here, but actually I think there is. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but because I think of like the sun angle, it makes it look like there's a hard ridge there, but these things happen. And BC Fab coming out really, really fast from Shrike. Imagine wanting to scout while you do BCs. Yeah, it's a good point, and this probe is pretty freaking relevant, and I actually do like the way that he's scouting with it too. He goes over and checks tech, and then he checks the flank angles. He's trying to make sure, you know, nothing is sneaking up on him here. Because if it is, he's got to react really quickly and build a bunch of AVs. He doesn't have anything right now to defend. And currently, CastleKSide is pocketing about 3 of them right now too. But actually, I think that's really going to be a bit of a mistake. I think CastleKSide has got he's got a defensive mindset right now. Do you know what I mean? Like he's afraid at the moment, which is sort of fair because he's been killed by Shrike's attack twice in a row now, and it was AVs both times. But this time it's going to be radically different, and he doesn't really know. His probe went down somewhere. I don't really know, like how that died, and I think that's really kind of hurting him here because if he could scout and he could see, look, there's one LAV, that's it. You know, I mean, this would be sort of go time for these AVs. As it stands, he's not falling that far behind on eco. But I also think it's going to be pretty cruel for CastleKSide that the one game that he's like, okay, fine, I'll go AVs, maybe they'll work better. It's going to be double Soban BC at the 24-minute mark. Or even maybe a little bit faster. This is going to be, yeah, 24:30. This is going to be pretty yikes for CastleKSide. Yeah, game. I think our series proved that. You guys will see what I mean when I cast it. Canyon Ult, by the way, I should mention, is a bit of an uncommon map to see these days because I think most players sort of prefer to ban it. By the way, AV's coming in now. They're coming in hot. But I think it's a map where carrier power plays are really nerfed because they have to go around this wide angle and then there's a really big flank available. And I actually like that in a lot of ways. By the way, turret post here are going to secure the extract. That's probably pretty good. But these Soban BCs, they're not having any of this. And what do you do if you're CastleKSide? I'm gonna suggest right now, teching BC, probably a mistake. I don't think that that's really wise. I think he needs to be teching rails or something here. Maybe air, but that doesn't even seem particularly good because it's gonna take too long. But if his carrier gets caught by these Soban BCs, he could just die at like the 22-minute mark. That would be really bad. Clearing my throat, man. I've got phlegm. Yikes. The damage on these BCs, you know, I mean, obviously there's Soban BCs which do even less damage than Coalition ones, but you can see it's still pretty freaking insane. Probe does get sniped there. I think he was trying to spot for the BCs, but he flew over the SCs instead. But I mean, what do you do about this? 2 extractions, that's nice. Carrier power into armor doesn't really do a whole lot against Soban BCs, does it? This is just gonna be a carrier kill. I mean, in fact, I don't know why he's targeting this SC. He should really just focus down the carrier. Maybe just trying to kill the healing. Maybe there's just auto-targeting. I don't know. But the other thing, of course, about BCs that we've talked about recently is that that smoke keeps them alive for so long too. Not gonna show up this game though. Looks like Shrike attempting to prove me wrong at every turn, but that carrier is already at half HP. And the real problem here is that this is not the end. There's more coming. And Saban BCs, they do have the range. And they're gonna hit for some serious damage here. Again, smoke would be really nice here, but it wasn't. You were focused on your economy, right? Oh well, looks like smoke not even necessary. CastleKSide gonna go down at the 22-minute mark. And that was a real fast game to finish off the series, and that's gotta be a little bit demoralizing too. He just gets instantly chunked down by these BCs. The one game that he decided he would go for AV so that he could counter the AV push. Ouch. That's a real pity. We use the artifact timer because the game timer over here is blocked when you do when you're in the replay. You'll see it when we do the next one, but like the production tab is on top of it, so you can't see the time. Yes. Friendly reminder to make sure you scout with that probe. But I hope you guys enjoyed the cast. That's it for you guys on YouTube, I guess.